Okay, there we go. I'll see you in about an hour. So finally, I can step firmly into the mind. And in a moment, I will ask if anyone has any questions regarding what we recently have been speaking about. Before then, I do need to pass on a message. So, if you are Brendan, Michelle, Mary Claire, Eileen, and Sandra, the 5 of you attained or attended a talk recently regarding meditation. And depending on where you are in the world, that was either Friday or Thursday. And you were offered a very special gift. Now, I have a message to pass on to you from that guide. And that is that the giving of this gift and the taking of what was offered to be taken, your part of the process is to fully live the experience you wish to give away, so that it becomes real in your mind once more and then passed on. This may mean that it could take you more than one session to pass on what needs to be passed on. And the guide is offering to meet you every evening until the next session around sunset of where you are, to continue to take what needs to be taken. The words I have been instructed to give, so I presume they are quite precise and you would understand this. And therefore you'll be able to undertake the activity if you wish. Now, let us continue. So over the weeks, we have been looking at what is a soul. And we spoke of different qualities of the soul and described that it was, in essence, a field like a lake, if you understand me, of potential, where different qualities and experience are available all over that lake. So individual souls have the same quality as every other soul, which is still part of, let us call it, the great soul. We also spoke about how knowledge is retained within the soul and then can be used and makes manifest either the physical body or the karma between lifetimes, where thoughts, events, and uncleared emotions will linger in these areas, creating them once more, either later in that life or subsequent lives. And knowledge does pass on from incarnation to incarnation. Now, this topic is not simple. It can be rather complex. But the important bit to really understand, if you are having problems in comprehending this, is firstly just to accept that there is a leak, and we call this consciousness. And in one corner of there, one part of that consciousness thinks that it is individual, but it is not. And it will live the life thinking that all it does is bump into other individual aspects, rather like one island bumping into another island. But the truth is, it is just one. But it is perceived as if you are individual. So before we continue on with the next aspect, would anybody like to ask any questions or seek clarification?
I do not see any questions being posed here, Ignatius. So we thank you for the opportunity.
Well, then let us continue. And I will pass you on to another. The soul's a wonderful thing. It really is. You kind of don't comprehend it, you know, you can't comprehend it from your side. And even on our side, it takes a little bit of understanding and a little bit of understanding what really is the truth. You've got to be a certain amount of awareness even to kind of understand there is something like a soul. But not only is there a soul, but there's a spirit. The soul is undertaking its individual journey and the spirit is already there. So really, when you look at it that way, there ain't no souls, it's all just spirit. It's just a bit of the spirit thinks it's something else, and that's what we call in a soul. Now, I've already spoken about and said that there's the ability to be fully conscious, and the conscious state is part of the soul's ability. And also there's knowledge. And it's like stored information that's stored here and there. And it ain't stored in books or anything like that. It's just stored. It is known. It's an energy vibration. But the major source, in terms of what you would believe to be the major source or major quality, is complete and utter joy. So just think that if you didn't have any problems and you didn't have to do anything and you didn't have to worry about tomorrow or deal with what you did yesterday or even battle through some of the difficulties of mankind or the planet, there is a joy feeling that you can possess. And this is very tangible to the human side, because there's times it just pops up for you, where for no reason you just feel happy. Totally happy. And I don't mean a little bit of happiness, I mean a lot of happiness. Now, you will have experienced this randomly. Now, this is different to, let's say, you've just won a bit of money and you feel happy. This is a happiness which is somewhat bigger. That's why I'm calling it joy. You could call it bliss if you wanted to. To this, which you get glimpses of, even to, let's say, a more diluted state, is a sign of the veil between you and your, let's call it the great spirit, has dropped away for a little bit of a while. But when it's dropped away, then it reveals itself to you. So you feel, for no reason, very happy. Now, I need to change these words to understand it at its correct level. So I'm going to say happiness is something the individual feels, and joy or bliss is something when you connect to the universal, the one. So if you can just imagine for a little while, what would it be like to have no problems and have no pressures and realize everything is just wonderful? Then you can kind of comprehend the very edge of what this is. It's not unknown to you. It is known. So let's really go into that experience at them times that you have felt it. Now, it is that bliss where love comes from. So think of the times when you've been so happy. There is also then the feeling of love. Now, there are a few people who don't understand what love feels like. I've heard the word, but then don't really know what it is. But you can feel this most intently when this state of bliss that comes. And when you are that very happiness, it's impossible not to love another person. It's impossible not to want to share it and want the other person to also have it, either energetically or to know it in their mind. And this state is not a light state in terms of, don't take it lightly. It is what holds everything together. It is the driving force of the universe. Because if there was just knowledge, everything would be, well, potential but never delivery. If there was just consciousness, then there would be just the ability to watch, but nothing changes to watch. The feeling of bliss does push things onwards, and it does draw all the individual aspects back. It makes the individual want to come back to the unified state, the one state, the home, if you wish. And it pulls you. Rarely it pushes you, but it is a pull. And you feel this as a pull inside where you are drawn to do something else. Are drawn for more, or being drawn for understanding, or drawn for purpose. You see, a lot of people, when you say the phrase, "What is my life purpose?" Of course, they say it in different ways at times. But in essence, the same thing. What is my life purpose? And they look at then, what should I do? Should I be a doctor? Should I be a healer? Should I be something else? But they miss the point. Rather than looking, what should I do? It's a case of looking at, where does this experience come from, this desire? And then that simple question then changes the perception from doing to being. From having to do something for your purpose, as opposed to, well, being the love that you really are chasing. Nothing external will ever satisfy you. You could always move house and go to live somewhere else. But the truth is, your problems will always go with you. You know, you might just go somewhere prettier or warmer. But you're still the same person when you get there. So the times where you can feel this contentment is the times when you are most connected to this quality of the soul and the spirit. And this is where you feel most at home, when you achieve that. Do you think it's possible to be very happy and then think, I've got to be somewhere else? It doesn't happen, does it? When you're very happy, you're content to stay where you are. When you're less than that, you kind of feel like you should be somewhere else. But we're going to talk about the ego's role next week. You see, it's really more of a case of understanding the quality behind, not the experience that's being required. If you're chasing experience, you'll always have individuality. If you chase the person who is experiencing the experience, then you will find something different. So you lose what's going on and you try to find the observer, the witness, the one that watches, the conscious bit. And then that tells you where you're going. You see, the pull of this love, this bliss, will make you feel like there's nothing else wanted. And you know in your heart that lovely feeling that comes with it. And you know in your heart that that is let's say, safety, security, where you're meant to be, yet you always seem to look for it outwards. You know? It's like, I won't be happy until I meet somebody or until I get a certain job or a certain amount of money. Well, that will never work in terms of really giving you lasting happiness. It may give you a glimpse for a little while of what you think it is. But rather than looking for that one partner or one thing that you really should be doing, look for who it is that's wanting it. And that takes you from that individual corner of the ocean into the vast ocean itself. That is the true pathway. That is the true direction. And that, if you follow that path, will lead you to the truth of who you are and will step you away from karma, because you no longer wish to have experience. And then, of course, if you don't want any more experiences, you can just dwell in the bliss. Now, for many people, in order to get to this type of level, they think, well, I've got to learn everything first. I've got to increase my vibration. I've got to get rid of some things and all the bits that are problematic in my life, like my ex-husband or something. When my kids go to university, then I will be happy. All this makes it very conditional. And of course, then that really means you have just individual glimpses rather than the whole. It is very much a case of just dwelling in that and finding it. It's not a case of picking something up, it's a case of letting something go. That is why meditators can get a glimpse of that state. But when they try to hold on to it, they lose it. That is why your past karmas can, once they're not seen anymore, can give you these possibilities of living in that joyful place. And some people say that's what heaven is. They say heaven's this place that you've got to find. But really, it's just a state of mind. It's a state of how clear you are and clear with where you sit, where you view the experience from. Do you view it as if you're tied up in it? Or do you view it as if it's, well, it's an experience that's happening, but so be it. You see, it's not what you have happened to you, it's where you look at it from that will distinguish how it affects you or doesn't. And you would think that the way I described it then would be, oh, you'd be less involved if you could find that place and all these experiences could be, well, just yeah, whatever's, you know. The consciousness is always fully involved, fully watching. Then it all happened in its way it's happened, experiencing it, but no, it's not affected by it. So if you want to do an exercise that you could try yourself to see if what I'm saying is true or not, and you may get just the barest glimpse of this. It may take you, let's say, 3 times to practice this before you get it. It's in your quiet time, whenever that is, whenever you can spare, let's say, 10 minutes. For those 10 minutes, gradually let go of everything that's bothering you. Oh, I've got to ring somebody. Let it go. I'm not feeling very well. Let that go. I've got to read a certain book and it's got to be handed in the next day. Let it go. Just for 10 minutes. And eventually you'll get to a point where all these things, the physical world, I've got to let go. And then you come to a point of let go of you. Maybe I don't have to be Bob just for the next 10 minutes. I don't have to worry about my bills and my money and how I need to perform. Just for 10 minutes. As I say, this can be difficult for a couple of people and it may take you more than one, but practice it for 3 sessions, 3 times 10 minutes. And just for them 10 minutes, let go of everything that you think you are or is expected of you. Drop away the desire or the need to be a mother or father, or the desire to be a mother or father. Drop away all that stuff. And see what's left over. Now, you can almost picture this in your mind, can't you? If you can let go of this, that, and the other, if I could just let go of them, you could almost see in your mind how the resulting happiness can be there. Now, that's not a complex exercise. It can be a little challenging because you've got to let go, for some people, of the things that you particularly want. Just let it go just for 10 minutes. Pick it up after if you want to. And you'll get a glimpse that if you did let go of all this stuff, then there's peace. And this peace, of course, is contentment. And whenever you're content, you have to have some happiness, don't you? It's a lack of contentment which causes unhappiness. So this ain't a complex thing, it's a simple thing to try. And at the end of it, let's say it's taken you the 3 times to finally put more and more down just for a while. Then you've got to ask yourself, well, why don't I put it down all the time? Or the expectations of life, why don't I put them down all the time? And then I can live in this peace that exists. See, the peace exists not by achieving everything that you want to achieve, but peace exists because you don't necessarily need to achieve anything. Yet mankind chases the accomplishment rather than the letting go of the need to accomplish. Now, I'm sure in your mind, as I've said, you can just get a bare glimpse of that. And if you get that bare glimpse, where does your life purpose now exist? Isn't there a bit of love that exists now after letting go of them things? Wouldn't you feel like you were home? Because you haven't got to strive anymore. You see, your real nature, your real soul, your real connectivity to everything else is always sitting there. You can't not be yourself, but you can pretend to be something else. Every morning when you wake up, it's like going to a fancy dress party. You put on an outfit of accountant, doctor, nurse, book writer, healer, medium. If you walked along the street and you saw somebody dressed as a pirate when everybody else isn't, you'd think, what's he up to? Why is he all dressed up? But every day you dress up in your fancy dress. And you put on the title of job or other things. And that gives you the individuality. A single pirate walking down a street of people all wearing posh clothes makes him look individual, doesn't it? Well, your individuality can be your careers and many other things. That's your fancy dress outfit you wear. And imagine if you could find this peace, this joy, this love. Wouldn't you take part in life differently? Wouldn't then your actions that you decide to take, wouldn't they look different? Wouldn't it be the love that you feel becomes more important than the book that you write? Wouldn't that be your important thing? What would the book that you write look like when you find love first as opposed to love some other time? Wouldn't it look different? Wouldn't you talk to your grumpy friend differently if there was love in your heart first? And all you've got to do to find it, just a glimpse of it, and the more you practice, the bigger it becomes, more real it becomes, is 10 minutes. Let go of everything. All expectations, desires, have-tos, should-dos, wanna do's, gonna do's, I wish I could do, Scooby-Doo. Let go of all of that stuff. Just for 10 minutes. And you'll get a glimpse. And I wonder if you'll carry it on once you've done your 3 sessions. Will you carry it on? When you find that bit of peace, you think, why would I carry it? Why would I not carry it on? But every day is your choice of which fancy dress costume you wear. Or do I find that love, peace, joy? And people say finding yourself is a journey of 100 lifetimes or 1,000,000 miles. But the truth is, it takes no time. You could be enlightened at the flick of a switch. You can just let go of all that stuff to become that unified state. As I said, this will take you past the astral realms of having to have one experience or another into the unified realm where you can choose to or not to. But the holding of that joy will be paramount. And this is what gives heaven that feeling of dreaminess that some people describe, the heaven within. And there's a phrase which has been used before through this medium, and that is, you'll never enter heaven by yourself. What is meant is, when you achieve that feeling of oneness and this love, it's all the same experience. The oneness and that love comes at the same time. And all you have to do is practice letting go of everything for a brief period of time. And I'm sure there's ones of you now saying, right, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do it. I'm going to start as soon as I get rid of him. I'm going to sit. See if what he's saying is true or not. It's too enticing, isn't it? You know, that is what's pulling you back. That is pure spirit. You can skip over the need to find anything, everything, have all the experiences by doing what I said. Once you feel it, realize it's a choice. Which one I have. So this backs up at something else that I've said at times. Do you ever remember in different talks we've spoke about the need to be clear, a clear channel, get rid of all your stuff, Can you see why now? You see how much of a clearer channel you are, that what you have access to. When you've let go of all this needs, wants, how clearer you can be. And can you see that when you've tuned into that bit, that your life becomes an expression of spirit? If you want, an expression of love, an expression of pure awareness, an expression of pure potentiality, if you like that phrase. And you see, if I was to have this conversation with, let us say, 100 people, and I'm sure now I've explained it this way, vast majority of them would say, I'll have a go. I'll just try. 3 times 10 minutes, can't be expecting too much. See if I can feel anything. And most of them, not all, but most of them will have the barest glimpse of that peace that exists. And let's jump ahead 1 month. The same 100 people. We say, are you still practicing it? I guarantee that many of them have lost their remembrance of what is there, and they go back into the pressure of society to earn more money, become a bigger job or something. Now, all of these qualities of truth or knowledge, if you want, just awareness, consciousness, if you want, of love, but bliss, if you want to call it that. There are another step after that. But I don't need to complex things any more than it is. So find out for yourself. Find out if it's true or not. And then you can have your experience of it, which is different to listening to the words that somebody speaks to you, or the book, or the video. Have your experience of it and know your truth. Be still and know. And when you know it, when you've experienced it, then your choice is, how often do I bring it into my life or not? Now, later on in the week, there's a talk, which would be 2 talks actually. One talk is one of the topics called The Journey of the Soul, and the other one is about meditation and spirituality. And the intention with both of them sessions is to take people into this level. For them to have the awareness which your spirit guide of the day will take you into. But you don't need to be in them sessions to do it yourself. So as I said, next week, we'll look at what ego really means, the word, how it stops everything and blocks everything and makes this little, the island in the ocean, or makes you think it's a corner of the ocean. And it'd be very interesting stuff, because I'm doing it. But the point I'm making is, you can study the world and it'll be endless. You'll always find something new to study. Or you can look at whoever it is that's doing the studying. And then whatever goes on in the world can take place in its own merry way. Now this talk, I hope, is a little bit more practical and need not be any deeper than it needs to be. So find your ways, everybody. 3 times 10 minutes of letting go of everything. And get a glimpse of the reality. All right, my time to go again. I'll chat to you all soon. Take care, everybody. Let the peace in your heart come to the surface. All right, gotta go. Ta-ra. So next week will be our final talk on this topic before we move to another topic. And we will begin the session next week to see what you observed. Did you manage to find your short periods and glimpses of what life is like without all the expectation? Until then, I wish you well and bid you a good day.